Think about all the computers around us, your laptop, your desktop, that gaming console in the living room. Most of the time, they're not really doing much, just sitting there idle. But what if all that wasted power could be harnessed for something huge?
I mean, really think about it. What if we could link them all together, creating one giant global supercomputer? A machine powerful enough to take on some of humanity's biggest scientific challenges. It almost sounds like something out of science fiction, right? Well, it's not. This is very real. The SETI at Home project, the one that searches for extraterrestrial intelligence, did exactly this. At its peak, it hit a processing speed of 364 teraflops. That is trillions of calculations every single second, all by linking up 1.7 million regular computers. To put that in perspective, that's thousands of times more powerful than a brand new high-end desktop.
So that just raises the big question, doesn't it? How on earth you actually harness that incredible power from millions of different computers scattered all across the globe? It all comes down to a really powerful idea called volunteer computing. The concept is actually pretty simple. People just voluntarily donate their computer's idle time. So when you're not typing or gaming or watching a video, your computer gets to work, solving one tiny piece of a massive scientific puzzle. And for you, the user, the whole process is incredibly simple. Your machine just downloads a small chunk of a problem, it crunches the numbers in the background whenever it's not busy, and then it sends the finished result back to the project. It's this seamless little cycle. Download, compute, upload, all happening without you even noticing. Okay, but this whole thing sounds a little too easy. I mean, trying to manage a system with millions of people who can connect and disconnect whenever they feel like it, that must be total chaos. How can you possibly build a reliable system from a bunch of unreliable parts? Yeah, that's really the core of the problem, isn't it? It's not like a traditional supercomputer in a lab where every single piece is controlled and monitored. A desktop grid like this is a wild, unpredictable environment. How do you even begin to handle that? Well, there's actually a technical term for this constant coming and going. It's called churn. And honestly, it is the single biggest headache for anyone trying to build one of these systems. Your entire workforce is just constantly changing without any warning at all. And this churn creates a whole cascade of other problems. You have to build in extreme fault tolerance because machines will just vanish in the middle of a calculation. Just finding data or other computers on the network becomes like hitting a moving target. And fundamentally, the entire network is just incredibly volatile, which makes trying to establish any kind of trust really, really difficult. Okay, so simple unreliability is one thing, but what about something more deliberate? What about people who actively try to game the system? Exactly. A lot of these projects give you some kind of credit or recognition for contributing. So what's to stop someone from just modifying the software to submit fake results, to claim credit for work they never actually performed? This is a serious problem known as a cheating fault. It's basically when one of the computers on the network sends back garbage that's disguised to look like a valid result. And this isn't just a hypothetical problem. In the early days of SETI at Home, someone created a modified version of their software that sent back incorrect results for months, and it threatened the scientific integrity of the whole project. And believe me, this is not a minor issue. One study of the Boink platform, which runs many of these projects, found that a staggering 35% of participating computers returned at least one corrupt result over just a 3-month period. That shows you this is a real significant threat to the science being done. So, how do you fight back against that? Well, the most effective defense is actually beautiful in its simplicity. You just don't trust any single result. Instead, you rely on duplication. Here's the strategy. Instead of sending a task to just one computer, the main server sends the exact same task to several completely unrelated volunteers. When the results start coming back, the server compares them. If they all match up, great, the result is accepted. But if there's a disagreement, the outlier is just thrown out. It's basically achieving security through consensus. So let's just recap for a second. We're talking about a system built from millions of unreliable, untrusted computers that are scattered all over the planet. Can you really build a powerful and trustworthy scientific tool out of that? Amazingly, the answer is yes. The entire system is this elegant dance of problems and solutions. For the sheer chaos of churn, you have dynamic software that just adapts on the fly. For the malicious actors and cheating faults, you have that replication and result checking we just talked about. The huge challenge of decentralization is overcome by building trust right into the software itself. It really all comes down to this idea. With some really clever software design, you can transform what is essentially an ungoverned, democratic collection of individual computers into this single, cohesive, and reliable force for major scientific discovery. So ultimately, we've proven the model works. We have a blueprint for a global supercomputer built by everyone. The only real question left is what monumental challenges in medicine, climate science, or fundamental physics are we going to point it at next? If you found this dive into large-scale computing as fascinating as I did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for tuning in.